Hey, everybody, it is Kendell Lenice, the Remix Coach, and we are here with season 11 of Shine with Kendell Lenice. This is a life podcast, and I'm so excited that this is the last episode of season 11. As we wrap up, we have been talking about relationships. We have talked about the good, the bad, the ugly, the lessons, the blessings, and everything in between. I had some amazing guests this season. I took about 3 weeks off. So if you've seen the last podcast episode and this one, there is a large gap. And that's because I had a book that came out and I'm excited about that. And my guest today is one of the authors in that book. It is about motherhood. Motherhood is every single day. It's through it's a beautiful compilation. It's an anthology with several people talking about their mothers, what I've learned about and from my mother as my personal journey as her child, through my personal journey as her child. And it's about love, lessons, and leadership. And when I tell you that so many people have contributed so many amazing stories when it comes to their moms, whether it's memories, we have poems in there for their mothers, we have lessons and quotes and sayings and just honoring the mom. We even have a section where we have men and their moms, and it's beautiful. I was able to dedicate it to all the moms out there, and what what made me do it. God gave me this idea last year to do this, and it's honoring my mom. So I talk extensively about my mom, sharing some memories in the beginning, and my daughters did the same for me. So this past weekend on Mother's Day, I read it to my mom, read it to me. So it was a beautiful moment. And my guest has an amazing tribute to her mom in this book as well. So we're going to talk about that later, but we are going to focus on relationships. This episode is Love and Marriage, Standing the Test of Time. My guests have been married for 24 years in July coming up. So we already said they're there. 24 years they have been married, and we were talking off camera, and I talked about loving her hair, and she says I always switch it up, and I said that might be part of the secret of lasting 24 years, because you don't want a relationship or a marriage to get stale. And I was thinking about 24 years, and I've had marriages with an S, and I don't think they lasted 24 years combined. So it's a beautiful thing to have found the right partner in life and to be able to do life together in that type of way. In marriage is not always easy. There are ups and downs, twists and turns, but to be able to stand the test of time and say, this is still my person, and we're going to get through whatever together, no matter what. My couple is like no other couple, or like other couples, I should say, going through challenges. It's about how you deal with it. They've had tragedies, they've had experiences that nobody would want to go through, but they got through them together. So I wanted to end this season with the season finale with my dear sis, Sheila Dunbar, and her husband, Victor Dunbar. So they're going to talk about their marriage with you, and we're just going to have some fun talking about it, because oftentimes people say, well, marriage is difficult, marriage is hard, and I get that, and I'm going to ask them if they believe that, because it's a 50-50 thing. Some people are like, marriage is not hard, you just got the wrong person. And some is like, marriage is hard, it's work, it's a job, but it's worth it in the end. So we're going to see what my guests say about that. But make sure, you guys, if you haven't subscribed to the podcast, please do so. It's available on all podcast platforms: Spotify, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Audible, and some more. So if you know where to find a podcast, I guarantee you Shine with Kendell Lenice is on there. And I'm just so grateful and thankful that I was able to do 11 years. To God be the glory. 11 seasons of Shine with Kendell Lenice. And we've had amazing conversations and amazing guests throughout, and some fantastic life coaching, if I do say so myself, because it is a life podcast. So we talk about real things over here. We've talked about relationships that don't work. So it's beautiful to talk about a relationship that does work. It's about balance. So if you haven't subscribed to the podcast and you haven't downloaded episodes, what are you waiting for? Please do so now, and tell your friends and family. Don't be stingy with this podcast, because this type of podcast is going to help you grow. It's going to help you mature. It's going to help you think. It's going to allow you to be the best version of yourself, whether you're in a relationship or not. It's going to help you with your family. It's going to help you with your friends. It's going to help you with your significant others. And it's going to allow you to love more and be stretched, because that's where the growth comes from. So again, welcome in and tell a friend. All right. My guest, as I said earlier, are Victor and Sheila Dunbar. So let's welcome them to Shine with Kendell Lenice. And they're sitting pretty too. They're looking real good. Oh, I must.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. I must say before we go, so this podcast is available the audio podcast platforms, as I stated, but right now I'm looking at this beautiful couple. So if you're able to catch it on YouTube, watch both. All right.
Hey,
How are you?
how are you?
I am well. I'm not sure if it's a delay. I am
Maybe a
well.
little.
I am well. You already know I'm running in from the gym.
Yes.
And I'm so excited to see you all and to yeah. So I don't know if it's a little delay or anything. So, but you can hear me though, okay, right?
I can hear you. Yes.
Correct. Yes.
It's a little bit of a delay, but we can hear you.
Okay. So hi, Victor. How you?
I am
Yeah.
blessed. I'm
I'm
glad to
not
be
sure.
here.
Sometimes it's a delay. I'm not sure, but as long as you can hear me,
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes.
I'm glad you're here. So I've got to ask, we got to start from the beginning. Where did you two meet?
Woo! Oh my goodness. You want me to tell the story, huh? Or you want to tell the story?
I can tell the story real quick.
Mine is more funnier, but go ahead. Go ahead.
I was walking down a particular avenue in Queens, and about 500 feet in front of me, I had to make a right. And before I made that right, God told me, if you make that right, your life is going to change. And I had the opportunity to question if I should make the right. And I made the right, and then this is what God gave me. So this was preordained, and I'm just glad to be here now with her.
Oh, he's trying to be cute. No, I'm a.
All right, Sheila, what's your version?
No,
What's your version?
okay. No, no, the version is no, but I guess I never, we talk about things, but I was doing a fashion show. My brothers and I were doing a fashion show for the church that I was at the time, and we needed more models.
Right.
And we had asked one of the models in the show, we had asked her if she knew someone. She says, "Oh yeah, I know someone." And she asked his sister,
Right.
and his sister didn't want to be in it, so his sister asked him. And it was so funny because I was standing out on the porch of the church, and I was standing with one of my girlfriends who was also in the fashion show, and I saw him way, and it was a long block. I don't know if you ever been to Manhattan in New York. It was one of those long blocks, and I saw this tall
Mhm.
man walking. I'm like, ooh, I'm like, who is that? And I said to my friend, I said, I think that's the guy who's going to be in the show. And of course it was him. And we did the fashion show, and I remember my brother wanted him to walk with someone else in the show.
Mhm.
And I remember we were practicing, and after the practice I called my brother and I said, you listen to me. I said, I want to walk with him. You don't let nobody else walk with him but me. Because he's husband's you 6'7" and I'm 5'8".
Correct.
So I'm like, I want to walk with him. So he changed everything around, and I walked with him in the show. And um
How tall did you say? How tall is he?
he's 6'7". So yeah,
And you're 5'8".
and I'm 5'8". So we walked together in the show, and then we went out on some dates, and I think like that was in 1990, 98. And then the next year we literally were married within the next year.
Yeah.
Engaged. We the show was in Mother's Day in 1999, and
by 2000
by 2000 we got married.
Correct.
Yeah.
Wow. So let's talk about that year. Let's talk about what happened in that year that the next year you were already married. Like this was your husband, this was your wife.
I believe that this marriage was first born in the spirit, and I believe that the time frame that it took for us to get married was just God's timing. He was just saying, because both of us have two different lives, or had two different lives. And once we submitted to the Holy Spirit, once we submitted and came to our senses, he was able to, put us in that window. I believe that 3-month period was a window that was just for us.
Yeah.
And it became quite apparent that we should be together.
Yeah.
So on the spiritual side, it was God's timing. And my wife was very vocal. She was like, I'm not here to waste time. If you're going to be with me, this is what I need to do.
Yeah.
And I was kind of around that same area, so it worked out well. It worked out well.
And Kendell, it was like before I met my husband, I had met someone that I had dated when I was in college. And I thought he was going to be the one, and there were things that, I know I've seen a couple of your shows, and there were like your podcast, and there were a couple of red flags that came up, with him. And one of the things was I had recently rededicated my life to God, and I had started going to church regularly, and he had a big problem with that, I wanted to have children, and he had a child from a previous relationship, and he didn't have any kind of relationship with that child, and it wasn't like I was living in New York at the time, and if I lived in Queens, he lived in Queens, and his daughter lived in Brooklyn, so it's like maybe 20 minutes away. And I'm like, how can you have a child 20 minutes away and you have no relationship with them? So it was a lot of those little red flags. So when we broke up, I remember it was October of 1998, and I remember praying to God, and I said, Lord, if you send me the man that I want, my husband, I'm going to be celibate. We are going to be abstinent. I'm not gonna be, intimate anymore until we get married, until our wedding night, right?
Yes, ma'am.
That was hard. It was definitely hard, but that was one of, that was one of the things that I had that I had prayed for, and I remember this was in October of 1998, and I met my husband to be in April of 1999. And
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Wow. Victor said something early. You said that you knew in the spirit already that this was meant
Mhm.
to be, and pretty much you were waiting for her to catch up. And then she prayed for her husband to come. And then
Mhm.
she saw you walking down that street and she said, there he is right there.
There it is.
That's him. What
Exactly.
was happening outside of what wasn't happening with you guys physically? What was
Uh-huh.
happening spiritually with you guys within in that year? Because that's powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I think we were connecting a lot.
No, she's talking about individually. What was
Oh,
happening to you before we got married in that year?
before we got oh, well,
Spiritually.
Yeah.
That's what she's asking.
spiritually.
That's what she's
Oh, I
asking.
know. I mean, I was definitely growing because, like I said, I had rededicated my life to Christ the year before, because I was out there, Kendall. I was out there doing a lot of things,
Mm-hmm.
and again, he was someone that I prayed for. So I knew I had to be kind of like a wife, but I didn't know how to be a wife, and that was one of the things I was praying to learn how to be, because I mean, being single and the type of person that I was, and being very strong-willed, and I always felt to be
Mm-hmm.
high maintenance kind of. I felt I was very high maintenance, and it were things
Mm-hmm.
that I was always me, 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 me. So now I
Mm-hmm.
had to learn how to be to share, and
Mm-hmm.
to be not always Sheila, because I was living by myself. I was very financially secure. I had a really good job. It was, so I was one of those women that if I met a man, he had to be right there. And um,
Mm-hmm.
God sent me someone that was not the total opposite, because but he kind of pushed back on me. He's never the type of person that says, okay, honey, I have to work for it, pretty much, right? I have to work for it. And and it's the same way he has
Yeah.
to work for it. I said before, and I always say this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Keep going, but I'm waiting for my turn.
Okay, but I always say this all the time, is that I always say this all the time, is like, he never knows what Sheila he's gonna get. And when he first met me, again,
Mm-hmm.
I was very, very into my word, and he was a little surprised when I told him, we can be together, but there's nothing that's gonna happen until we get married, because that was something that I truly believed in. At and I wanted to be, I wanted our first time to be special, and I wanted that
Mm-hmm.
to be for our wedding night, you know. So go ahead,
Mm-hmm.
hon. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
Yeah. And we're
Spiritually,
about to pray over this Wi-Fi because I'm not sure what's happening. It's raining here, so I apologize. It's raining really badly here. So I apologize. I'm not sure what's going on with the Wi-Fi, but I want to make sure people hear you clearly. And I know it's a little lapse.
it's
But go ahead.
fine. Mhm. Um, I believe that. Well, I know spiritually, I didn't trust God, and when you don't trust God, you find yourself in the flesh. And it wasn't until I saw the reward of what
Mm-hmm.
being in the flesh was that I found her. So in the year prior to meeting her, in the years, I was just,
Mm.
you know, I didn't lean on the Holy Spirit. I leaned on my own senses. I was very carnal. And it wasn't until the payment for being carnal came and I had to pay that. I said, okay, so what do you want me to do, Lord? If this is the one, okay, then I'm just
Mm.
going in the way that you want me to go. So that's where it was.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
So when you saw her, I know she saw you walking down the street.
Mm-hmm.
No, it makes sense. It definitely makes sense because you were living in a different way, but it wasn't what your innate living what it wasn't what you wanted to live and how you wanted to live.
Correct.
Is that
Yes.
correct? Is
Yes.
that what you're
And see,
saying?
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
No,
But
I get it.
but he also gave me the free will because he told me when you walk down this block and you make the right, your life is going to change. So he knew
Mm-hmm.
what he had. I just had to, you
Wow.
know, submit to his
Wow.
will, and then this is why we're together. Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he literally told you when you turn this corner, your life is going to change.
Yes.
That's
Even now,
powerful.
yeah,
And
yeah,
wow.
yeah. And I actually
Even now,
ran
what?
from
What
it.
did you say?
No, I actually ran from it once I saw her in the church because being carnal, I'm like, okay, is a church, this is a woman. I knew it was about to be over. So it was, you know, it was like, you know, even then I wanted to turn around, but I had made the commitment. He told me I submitted to his will, and actually it has preserved me. I don't think I would have been here. You know, it sounds like I got something on my
Mm.
nose. I don't think I would have been here had I submitted and been married because it does preserve you when you do it right.
Wow, that right there is so powerful, and a lot of people don't really understand that, especially
Mm-hmm.
for a man
Mm-hmm.
to have found that one and to be obedient to God and to say
Mm-hmm.
that your marriage preserved you. Had you
Yeah.
not be married, you don't know if you would have been preserved in this way. And
Yes.
statistics say that men live longer lives when they are married. Can you expound that on that? So why do you feel and how do you feel? Because I think the men really need to hear this and understand, and so do the women when it comes to allowing God to choose your purpose partner.
Mm-hmm.
How has it preserved you?
Well, I had some infidelity in the marriage, and in that
Mm.
infidelity, I was able to look at the menu, but when the bill came, it almost killed me. So I was living with her in the, or you know, I
Mm.
stepped outside of the marriage, and everything was fine. And then when God said, "You need to shape up or die,"
Yeah.
that was basically it. I
Yeah.
mean, I was in
Mm.
a situation to where I couldn't swallow whole foods because I was being disobedient to Him. So
Mm.
God sent her to the actual place I was living,
Mm-hmm.
and I came out crying. I was out of my mind almost because when you're outside of God's anointing, when you're outside of His grace, then the devil can get on you, and he's not playing.
Yeah.
So when I say it has preserved me, that's just not a cliche. Coming back to her by the leading of the Holy Spirit, uh, uh,
Mm.
uh, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah. And I
Mm.
remember because you were like, I want to say like,
Suicidal.
yeah, and he was like 90 pounds. When he
Yeah.
called me, he was like 90 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I remember because you called me, he called me and he said he wanted to commit suicide.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally
Mm-hmm.
went to where he was,
Mm-hmm.
and he was about, I literally, I want to say
Mm-hmm.
90 pounds. And my husband is 6'7", and he's tiny now. I mean, I'm
6'7".
not, he
Wow.
was, he's slender, so he was
Right.
90 pounds,
Mhm.
and but
But if I can interject, the reason why I believe that, and I know it was God that put the heat to me, is because when I look at what we have now, we have an 11-year-old son. We have, he wouldn't have been here. His soul and how we're raising him was dependent on my obedience. So I was messing up the plan,
Mm,
and God
mm,
wasn't having it. So
mm.
it's deeper than it looks,
yeah,
but we're stronger for it now, and that's it's truth. We're having a real conversation.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
powerful. And I thank you for sharing that, because I think people really need to hear and understand that, you can recover through that. And when
yeah,
you say that your marriage preserved you because you were trying to take yourself out of here. And
yeah,
Yes,
when
yes.
you think about that, there's so much power in that. And what you said about the obedience to God. And if you
Mm-hmm.
had not been obedient, and because you were going against God's will, these things were happening. And you talked about eating from the menu and not just looking at what this that I mean, so many gems you just dropped, Victor. I'm like,
Thank
it's so powerful. And to be
you.
able to be here, like you said, to have your son, because you started following the obedience, and had you not, then he would not be here.
Well,
Sheila, in
well,
what year? Go ahead.
um, one monkey doesn't stop a show. I believe
Hmm.
had I been disobedient, God would have sent someone else to take my place.
Mm, mm,
Because
mm.
God is going to do what
yeah,
God is going to do.
yeah.
It was just
Yeah,
up to me
yeah,
to jump on His plan, and
yes.
I'm enjoying the fruits of it now. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. No, no, this is about you guys. I wanted to ask Sheila, so what year did the infidelity begin, and how did you find out, and how did you handle it?
It was 2008,
Mm-hmm.
and it
Hmm.
wasn't. It was 2008. We separated, and I don't. I think I didn't find out until, I want to say, maybe, I don't know, the end of 2008, early January of
Hmm.
2009 or
Yeah.
something like that. And I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. At first, I was hurt.
Hmm.
I was very hurt. And
So I just want to give people context. So you guys got married in 1998,
no,
correct?
we got
99.
married in 2000, July
So
1st,
you got
2000.
okay. So you guys, because you met early, you met in 99, you said, right?
Right. Not we met in 1999.
Okay.
We got married a year later.
Okay. I just wanted to put context to it. So you got married in 2000, and then
Hmm.
this happened in 2008, and you found out in
Yes.
2009. So this is a
Well, I found out.
9-year
I found
mark.
out.
I just
Well, we had separated, and I found out, I think, like 2000, like the end of 2008, because I think the separation happened in September of 2008, and I think like the end of that year, I found out that we had been separated, so that he had been seeing someone. And
seeing someone before the separation or
no,
during the
after,
separation.
well, during the separation, like we
Got it.
separated,
Got it.
and then he
Got it.
was seeing someone. So it wasn't like, I found out he was cheating and we separated. No, we were separated, and he was seeing someone while we were separated. And to be honest with you,
Got it.
I had started seeing someone too. So it was like, it was a little bit of
Yeah.
a both. But to be
Yes.
honest with you. But we were trying to get back together. We were talking or whatever. I think
Mhm.
um we got back together in June when he called me. We got back together in June of
Mhm.
2009. That's when he called me. Um
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
I remember it so clearly because I was getting ready to go to church that day. And I called my pastor and told him, because we were supposed to have like a second service or something. I called my pastor and I told him that my husband had called me, and I was going to see him. And I thought it was odd that he says, well, you got to be careful because I don't want him to hurt you. That's what the pastor said. And I knew my
Mhm.
husband, so I knew that wasn't going to happen. But
Yeah.
I didn't want him to be hurt. You know what I'm saying? Or hurt
Yeah,
himself.
and you
So
didn't know his state of mind at that time. Yeah, because did you
exactly.
know his state of mind at that time? Yeah.
No, no, I didn't know his state of mind, but I knew that he wouldn't hurt me. I knew that much,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
But I didn't know he would hurt his. I didn't know what he would do to hurt himself. So I went over, and I said, you know what? At this point, I said, this is over. This is over. I said, you're coming home, and we're gonna take care of this. We're gonna take care of this. You're coming home. We're gonna take care of this. When I walked in and I saw him, and I saw what he looked like. I mean, he was skin and bones. And I said, you know
Mhm.
what? This we can't do this. We can't. You can't live like this. We can't have this. And I remember I took him home. We went back home, and we went to church that afternoon. And we worked through it. We worked through it. And we're here
Yeah.
today. We're here today. And
2040.
yeah. And
So I want to ask
and
Victor. So I want to go ahead.
no, no, go ahead.
Go ahead, Sheila.
Yes.
No, it's just when
No,
people
I,
say
I
that, people will say that, and I do believe marriage is not easy. you know we could have walked away. We could have
mhm.
walked away. I could have said, well, you know what, you're seeing someone, call her. Call that girl on the phone, and tell her, because I don't want to be bothered. I could have been that type of a person, but I loved my husband. Regardless of what
Mhm.
what we were going through, I still loved him, and I knew that he was a man of God. you know and he did have a good heart. It was
Mhm.
just he got caught up, I got caught up. We got to a point where we we weren't respecting each other's, um I guess, boundaries, or we just weren't respecting each other like we should have. And um but I think
Mhm.
we wouldn't be here today. I don't think, if we didn't go through all of that, because I think that made us stronger.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
disagree. We disagree. We're a married couple. We disagree. We get into arguments, but it's how the arguments usually end up. We're not talking about leaving each other, or anything like that. And
Yeah.
I think we're stronger for that, right, hon?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. I think we are. I think we are.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But you wanted to ask Victor a question?
Lapse. No, it just lapsed a little bit. You said, I think we are. What were you saying before that?
No, I think we are. If we didn't go through what
You
we
said, I
went
think
through,
we
I don't.
are.
Yeah, I don't. No, I was saying that to my husband, but I know we are a lot stronger in our marriage, because of what we went through.
Yeah.
Um, it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's helped us a lot. You know.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask Victor. So when you were pretty much skin and bones and you were losing weight and you wanted to check yourself out, is it because of the embarrassment, because of disobedient to God, because you hurt your wife, or you guys, separated at that time and she was seeing someone and you were seeing someone? What was it that was really like touching your soul and your spirit and making you feel this way? Like, what was that thing that you were not eating clearly and just really not forgiving yourself?
Okay. Um, I believe it was the spiritual connection that I had taken part in. And when the individual left, it created a void.
Mm.
That void wasn't from God. It was from the devil, I believe, because it was carnal. It was birthed in carnality.
Mm-hmm.
So when the void left, and God is on the side saying, "You better handle it, because I don't bless no mess." That's where I felt the loss. That's where I felt suicidal, because the bill had come. When you're doing wrong, I've learned that when you start in sin, it's great, but you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Even if you're saved, you got to pay. And when payment came, I didn't have the Holy Spirit or his anointing to draw from, because he was upset at me because I left the wife that he sent me. So that kind of left me in no man's land. And that's when I didn't eat, and I used to go to sleep and wake up and see those entities around my bed, because the person I was with took part of those entities, took part in those entities. So it was a shaky time. I believe that the devil tried to take me out because he didn't want us here.
Yeah.
He knew,
Yeah.
so he said, let me try to take him out early, and I just thank God that, I was able to come to my senses and find a beautiful church, Love Oasis Christian Center. And, God has the tools, but he gives you free will.
Yeah.
And I wasn't trying to hear God. And God said, hey, you listen or you out of here. So I'm glad I listened.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you sharing that, because that's so powerful. You said so many powerful things, both of you. My
He's a
goodness.
powerful
My
man. He's
God.
a powerful
So
man.
He's a powerful man.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
and you still smiling after like 24 years like that. I'm loving it. I'm loving it, because
Yeah.
you have a bond and you have gone through things together that, that some people can't recover from.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know, Sheila, you said that, you know what, even though I'm dating over here, he's dating over here, we're separated, we're not sure how this marriage is going to go, but your love for him and seeing him, putting your eyes on him, saying, you know what, yeah, this is going to stop right now.
Yeah.
Um, how was that rebuilding stage? Because you guys were already separated and now you're together and you're dealing with this person over here, that person over here, but you're coming back together. What was that rebuilding season like for you guys?
Well, to me, it wasn't rebuilding, because remember, God had set it up for us to meet in the first place. So the apparatus for us to be successful was already there.
Mm,
It's just my rebellion
mm,
that stopped it. So once
mm-hmm.
I let go and let God, then everything just fell the way it was supposed to go. It was
So God
basically,
naturally rebuilt it.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, because it was like,
Mm-hmm.
once we were back together,
Mm-hmm.
we moved into a new place, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
everything it was just like normal.
Yeah.
Everything fell back into place,
Yep.
and
Yep.
Yeah.
it just worked out,
That's God.
and it was funny because someone asked me, and we never had a chance to talk about it, and it stayed in my head. But one of my friends asked me, "How did you? Who knew what happened?" Because not everyone knew, but she
Now
knew what
everybody
happened.
knows. Everybody knows
Everybody
now.
knows now. But she had asked, "Well, how do you?" You see, he's a comedian too. That's one of the reasons.
Yeah.
But it was like, how did you forgive and move on? And it's like,
Mhm.
uh, when you
But it
love someone,
would have to be both of you forgiving.
yeah,
But it would have to be both because you were seeing somebody too, and he was seeing somebody,
yeah. But
right?
the only reason why I always see somebody was because he was,
Oh,
he was
because he
gone,
was.
and but one,
Yeah,
but
he
one,
was.
yeah, but it wasn't, I knew that.
That was good, Kendell.
I'm like, I mean, it's on both sides here. How did he forgive too? I mean,
Listen.
I'm just trying to
Wait.
state the facts here. I'm trying to state the facts.
So you got to remember on my side, right? I almost left here.
Yeah.
So anything God is telling me to do going forward, I'm going to do. So it was about me letting go of my pride, letting go of my carnality, and submitting. I had to decrease so God in this marriage could increase. So when pride gets in there, it's a problem.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
Yeah.
If she's doing something that is not working, I'm going to God first. Hey, Father, what's going on? Help me.
Yeah.
And he usually balances things out. So it was easy for me to forgive because all I had to do was submit. And as I submitted, I was able to, graft into forgiving.
And I think you said something.
So how do you answer that, Sheila, when people say, "How do you forgive?"
Well, it was it was one of what he said, and it's like you gotta not worry about pride and what other people think, and you gotta, like, you had to follow your heart. And I'm not gonna lie, I was hurt. I was hurt because to me, this is the love of my life right here. I've had boyfriends, I've had, but this is my husband, and this is the love of my life, and this happened. And we were in the church, and the people in our church knew. But I remember something that my mom said, and she said to me, I was talking to her one day, and she said to me, "Well, Sheila, don't you want your husband?" And I'm like, she says, "Don't you love your husband? Don't you want your husband?" And
This is why you were separated.
I said, "I do. Yeah. I do." She's like, "Well, then don't worry. People are always going to talk. People are always going to talk. But it's what you listen to." And I knew that he was someone that I prayed to God for him. I asked God to send me a husband. That's what I asked for. And this, I specifically asked God to send me a husband, a husband who was God fearing, and regardless of what happened, I know my husband is God fearing. But things happen. I mean, me, I'm God fearing. Things happen. No one is perfect, and that's why we have grace. That's why we have mercy. And that's why God gives us grace. That's why God gives us mercy. So it depended upon if I wanted to stay and be in a marriage that God had ordained, and I asked and prayed for, and I wanted to work at, or I wanted to be like everyone else. And a lot of other people who just don't want to work at it and say, "Okay, well, this is what happened, so let's let it go." I knew that I wasn't perfect. There were things that I was not perfect in the marriage. It wasn't just him; it was me too.
Yeah.
I said earlier,
Yeah.
I was demanding. I was, you know, I was very high maintenance. You know, or had to be my way. And I was saved, but it had to be my way. You know, and I had to learn how to submit. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's still kind of hard. He's laughing. It's still kind of hard. but there,
24 years in the making.
it's still hard. But but it is hard. Kendall, it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
People would say, "Oh, it's roses." It's not. It's not. When you stand up before God and you take those vows and you commit to someone, you know, it's through good and bad, through death do us part. And
Mm-hmm.
unless he was abusing me mentally, physically, you know, I chose to stay in my marriage. If when my husband came, when I saw my husband and I brought him back,
Yeah.
I knew then I'm like, I can't, I'm not gonna be one of those women who is standing over my husband's coffin talking about, oh, I
Mm,
wish I had been there. I'm not gonna be. I'm not
mm,
gonna. I wasn't raised to be spiteful and
mm.
I still loved him. I love
That's
him.
powerful.
So I
That's
mean,
powerful. Woo.
and that's what it was. So
Wow. And when you put it like that, like standing over the cup, that's powerful. Like you knew
yeah,
you didn't want to have that regret or you didn't want to be disobedient to God because God told you that. Like as soon as you say you coming back. Like and you forgot about not forgot about, but you weren't thinking about none of the other stuff. You were thinking
yeah,
about the man that you love, his health, and getting
hmm,
him back to a place. And
yeah,
like Victor said, you preserved him. And I think people take that lightly. I want to go back to that because people take that so lightly. You preserved him, in a
yeah,
relationship, in a marriage, and I stated, and you guys can look it up, and I'm going to get the statistics, but men live longer with a wife than they
Mm-hmm.
do because of that, because of how God made us. You
hmm,
know, people laugh and be like, "Dang, so the woman got to carry everything, and he's living longer, and the woman is like holding the fort down when it comes to certain things." But
yeah,
it's God's design. When you think about that, that helpmate, is so important to have, especially the right one. And if you truly love and care about somebody and you see him in that condition, you're not going to be like, well, you put yourself there, or this is what it is,
yeah.
because that's not really love.
Mm-hmm.
So you were
You're
able
right.
to
You're
see
right.
love in that moment. Because if
Mm-hmm.
you did not say come home, I would question, and you would question the
Mm-hmm.
love.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
Right.
what does the
Hmm.
Bible say in First Corinthians? Think about that. Love
Mm-hmm.
is kind.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't think about yourself. So you say, I don't think you give yourself enough credit, Sheila, because you say I was high maintenance, and it's hard for me to obey, or submit, I should say, and it's hard. But the way that you loved him back to life, you
Hmm.
have to really stand in that moment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And because you haven't said, I stayed, I loved you back to life, that shows the humility and the
Yes.
commitment to your
Hmm.
marriage. And that's
Mm-hmm.
really what all three of those,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and I know you guys have been through a lot. We're not going to, talk about that. I don't know if Victor wants to talk about that, but you guys have
No.
been through a lot, and
Yeah.
you were able to overcome so much in your marriage. Is that because God is the center, as we if we don't know the answer, God is the center of your life? I want to talk about how important it is to have God in your marriage, because it's you and there's God in the center of your marriage. Let's talk about how important that is, and then I also want to hear as we wind down to what you love about Victor the most and what you love about Sheila the most. After all of these years, how does she still make the hair on your arm stand up? And how does you keeping a smile shit? Y'all ain't stop smiling, so y'all go on and talk about that. Talk
Yeah.
about that good love.
Um. You mentioned how was it with God in our marriage?
Mm-hmm.
I would say that it's the God in us individually.
Mm-hmm.
Because unless you have that relationship, it's hard to give to your marriage.
Ooh.
So I've learned to strengthen that individual relationship between God and myself. And then from that, he'll give me jewels and strategies and patience and grace to give to the marriage,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah. That's powerful. If you don't have God at the center of your life individually, how can
It's
you
not
have
good.
God in the middle of your marriage?
Mm-hmm.
That's just, I mean, it's, you put it so simply, but
Yeah,
it's so true.
yeah,
What
yeah.
about you, Sheila? Same answer?
I would say it's the same answer.
No fair, no fair.
I think it's the same answer. I mean, Victor's the type of
So,
person. He is though. He's the type of person that, he'll get up and he'll be like, "Hun, this is what God told me to do. This is what we got to do." And I'll be like, "Oh my goodness." It's usually something that I don't really want to do, but I'm like, "Okay, all right, hun." But I mean, there's things that he does. He'll get up and certain times I don't know, I guess God is telling him to do this, and I never say it to his face, because I'm like, he's always doing it when, like, we're running out or something. He's like, okay, let me anoint you. And he'll get the oil and he'll put it on my forehead, my hands, my
Yeah,
feet. He'll
yeah.
do the same for my, for our son. And
that's
he's,
beautiful.
yeah, he's very, very, he's like that, and that's important. That is important to me, even though I don't tell him enough. On my end, I'm if there's things that are going on, I have like a journal that I'm writing my stuff in, and I put my prayers in that journal, and I just pray on it. And if I want certain things done, like if I'll ask them to do certain things, and like men, that sometimes they don't always get to it. I'm the type of person, if I ask you to do something, I want it done right away. And my husband's more
Mm-hmm.
laid back, and he'll be like, "Okay, I'll get it, hon, I'll get it." I'm like, "Yeah, but it's not." So I'll just sit and I'll write it, on my journal, and I'll pray on it, and eventually, the curtain
Yes.
rods will become. That's in private. Right?
Yeah,
But
So
that's,
Victor,
go ahead. Sorry.
yes.
that's funny. No, you're fine.
Mhm.
So when you look at this woman sitting next to you, what still begets your heart when you think about Sheila and think about what you love about her? Like, what still has you after all of these years like, oh,
Um, her anointing.
mm,
When I get around her, I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be.
mm-hmm,
This is who I'm supposed to cleave to. This is who I'm supposed to relax around. When you've been married as long as we have, you've seen a lot of faces and been a lot of places. But
mm-hmm,
what lasts more than the beauty is that comfort level, that
Mm-hmm.
that that touch in your heart, just like, okay, this is a safe place to be. You know how we feed off of each
mm,
other. We do argue, and we argue,
Mm-hmm.
but the basis of it is God, and that's what I feel. I
mm-hmm,
feel Him happy with me when I'm with her. So that's
Mm.
yes.
You
Yeah.
feel God happy with you when you're with her. Y'all about to make me cry. I haven't cried during this relationship series this season yet, but y'all got like the little tear right here. I feel it. I feel it forming. That's beautiful. I feel God is pleased with me
Right.
when I'm pretty much loving her or with her or when she's in my presence.
Yeah.
Sheila,
But
like
it's
you can't. That's powerful.
but it's like you know I it's like we can't we don't have we're out of sync, if we're not together. Like, he works certain hours and he may not know this. He knows it now, but everyone, I go to bed early. I'm an early person. You know what I'm saying? He's a late night person. But when he comes home, I'm laying in bed, but I can't rest until I know that he's home, or
Right,
he's here,
the
he's safe.
audio. I can't
And
hear you. I don't know if you can hear me. The audio.
I can hear you. I can
Okay,
hear
I
you.
didn't hear anything you said, and I want to make sure the audio version of this podcast catches it too. Yes, I do know you go to bed early, and this is a stretch, so I appreciate you being on
No,
this
but
show because you shut it
but
down.
the thing is that my husband, he's a late night person, and the
Mhm,
where he works, he comes home late a lot of times, and
mhm,
even though I'm in bed, I can't rest or sleep until I know that he's here.
mhm,
He's like the safe haven. He's
mm,
my safe haven.
Anchor.
mm,
He's my
mm,
anchor.
mm.
Can I use my word? I'm gonna use my word.
Sorry.
He's my safe haven. And and but that's what he's my safe haven. And that's
I
what
love it.
I
It's
think
beautiful.
that's what your husband is supposed to be. You're supposed to feel
Mhm,
peace and comfort, and
mhm.
and that's what he is.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
that's exactly what he is to me. He's my peace. He's my comfort. He's my safe haven.
Mhm.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love that. And you're
Cool.
absolutely right. That's what a husband should be. So y'all, if y'all got husbands that ain't your safe haven, I'm not saying what to do, but really think about that. You might
Amen.
want to reevaluate some things or have a conversation, or you might want to talk about that, because ladies, we like a good safe haven. You
Yeah.
want to feel safe with your husband. You don't One thing you don't want to feel is unsafe, right? You don't want to feel like if he's coming late from work, you're happy he's gone.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I hear that.
Or you don't
Exactly.
want to be resting real good when he ain't there.
That's funny.
You be like, "Oh, I sleep so good."
He's not there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Oh my
good.
goodness. No,
Yeah.
but
That's a
that
good one. Oh, Lord have
I got my
mercy.
best sleep when he ain't there. No,
He's not
that's
here.
not how it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love it. What would
Yeah.
you tell as we as we wind down? What would you tell someone who is ready to give up the first year of marriage? Because you guys are in year 24.
You want to answer that, hon?
Yeah. I would say
The union that God put together, because God didn't put together some of these unions.
Mm-hmm.
right. No, so I would say make sure that your first mate is God. Check on that
Mm,
relationship first, because it's from that you can
mm,
get instruction on if you're in
Mm-hmm.
error or not in error in the natural marriage. So your spiritual marriage has to be first and foremost. Once you got that straightened out,
good.
then you can get direction going forward. Because he might tell you to just leave the person. He might tell you to stay. But get that relationship straight first.
Yeah.
And then go from there. That's what I would say. But
That's
don't
excellent.
Yeah, I would say that. And stay away from social media, all young marriages.
Yeah.
It will destroy you. It will destroy your marriage. Just stay away.
Yeah.
I would say that.
He said young marriages stay away from social media.
Yeah.
That's powerful. Let's and Sheila, before you go, tell them why, because we want the why. We can imagine the why, but why do you think it's wise to stay away from social media your first year of marriage? Explain that for the people all the way in the back.
Okay. Social media is, in my belief, consists of many portals. So unless you know what spiritual entity is pushing that portal, it's best to stay away from it, because you might be trying to go right, but the portal that you're feeding on is going left. And then so know what portal you're feeding on spiritually. And then once you get that, then you can go forward. If you can't navigate that, just stay away.
Yeah.
Just stay away, because you'll be in West Bubble someplace, and then you'll be 90 pounds like I was.
He said West Bubble. That's real talk, though. That's real. That's real talk.
I mean, I think
ain't nobody trying to be in West Bubble barely eating. Ain't nobody trying to do that. Because everybody doesn't have a Sheila to bring them back to life.
And that's the thing, Kendell, because you listen to a lot of these, and that's one of the things with social media. You listen to that, or you'll have people in your ear. It's very, 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 very important. And I always say this: I don't talk about my issues or whatever problems or ever discussions we have with my husband. If we have a disagreement, I don't go outside and talk to people about it.
Yes.
I do not. And I always tell him, don't, what goes on between us is between us. I don't want you talking to my family about it. Or I all the time, and that's important, because you have people who, like you said, they're on social media, or they get in your head and they're telling you this, and they don't know your relationship. You know what I'm saying? Some of them are not Christian. Some of them are out there worldly, doing whatever. And just imagine a new couple, and they went through what we went through in that first or second year marriage, and that wife gets a call from her husband saying that he wants to commit suicide, and her girlfriends are in her head, or she's watching social media, and she's I'm woke, I'm this, I'm that, well, you go, go get that, go let the other girl you were with help you. You do you understand what I'm saying? So it's like we lose sight. We want to be prideful and all of this, and it's about love. And it's about, if you love that person, then you're going to go through hell and high water. You're going to do whatever it is. You're going to go through hell and high water, because marriage is not easy. It's a conscious effort every day to get up and to make sure that you're saying the right things, you're doing the right things. You wake up, and I say all the time, he doesn't know where Sheila he's gonna get. He can get to Sheila one day that just ain't in the mood. And he has gotten a Sheila that's not in the mood, and he's like, okay, hon, all right, I'm gonna go for a walk.
But that's learning your mate. And I've often talked about this. When I was in my 30s, one of my clients, they had been married a very long time, and I said, so what? I'm in my 30s. I'm like, so what is the secret sauce? He said, these men out here have to learn their mate. If they learn their woman, he said it would be the best marriage. And I think the women should learn the man too. When he wants to talk, when's a good time to talk, when, like you said, Sheila, when he knows that you're not for it today, you're not having it, when he knows you're quiet, when he know. I think it's so important because it will save a lot of couples a lot of trouble and heartache if you learn the person, because everybody, no matter how you gel, no matter how much you're alike, you're still not a clone. You're not the same person. So some people, it takes a beat for them to wind down after work. Sometimes, somebody don't want a whole lot of talking in the morning. Somebody may not want a whole lot of talking at night. Look, you said
that's
you
it. He don't want to,
I don't hear nothing.
and I'm legit. I want to yak all morning, and he
Yeah.
gets up and he's like, all right, morning. He's not a morning person. I'm a morning person.
Yeah. And I, because we are talkers, you do have to learn different things like that. And I know, so it's important if you're just starting out with somebody you don't know, ask, hey, do you like peace and quiet in the morning? When you go to sleep, what is your routine? When you wake up, do you pray? Like, what is the routine? What is it? Because I know my oldest daughter, both of my daughters, they don't want to hear a lot of talking in the morning. So I'm used to that. Like, I'm up, I'll be playing gospel or listening to my devotional. So I'll be doing, so I would have to ask that. I'm not married now, but you know what I mean? But I would, it's important to ask those type of questions, because you don't want something as simple as that where someone else is conceding and saying, okay, it's fine, when it's really not, because they build little pieces. So I think it's important for people to have conversations and discussions so you can get to learn your mate. What do you guys think?
I ask God. I'll ask him, God, help me be the perfect husband, or help me be a better husband.
Come on.
And the closer I get to him, he'll tell me, and sometimes he'll tell me to do things and I don't want to do it. Like last Sunday, it was Mother's Day.
It was this Sunday.
Oh yeah.
Mother's Day was this Sunday, baby.
And he told me
this past Sunday.
Yeah. And he told me
depends
to take
on how
off
you look at it. It's last
Yeah.
Sunday because it's past. It depends on how you look at it.
And he told me to take off work and to spend time. So I didn't want to do it, but I knew it was him. So I said, all right, God, I'm going to take it off. And it was the best day.
It was the best. It was the
best.
best.
I saw your pictures. So cute.
I said, my son was saying, Mom, you smelling all day. It was the best. It really, really was the best Mother's Day, and it wasn't like, it was, we did a lot of nothing special, but it was just the best Mother's Day, and I hugged them and I kissed them and I'm like, oh, thank you so much. Because it was a really good, and it made me happy. I was
but that came from him. So that just goes back to what I said before. Once you're positioned with him, he'll tell you what you need to do. You just have to be humble to do it. And then when you do it, then you're like, oh, okay, this is working. So
that's so powerful.
Yeah, because I really don't know what I'm doing. This is all uncharted territory. So I just ask him, and he tells me, and he works it out. Yeah,
keep it real, Victor. I love it. But I often tell Sheila, like, I see so much joy in her. I see so much happiness in just that, my sister, the beautiful spirit that she has, like, it oozes from her. And she says that at 50, well, you want to tell your age, at her age,
58, I'll be 59 this year.
At 58, she's the happiest that she's ever been. Now, your smile is not missed on me, Victor, because you haven't stopped smiling. Both of y'all are smiling.
Thank you.
Tell me and I already know the answer, but the joy. Have you always had this joy together? I know joy comes from the Lord. Have you always had this joy together? This laughter, this connection?
Well, we always laughed.
No.
I mean, you don't think so?
No.
Keep
this
it
is
real.
a building
One
in
thing about
progress.
Victor, wait, let me pause. One thing about Victor, he gonna keep it all the way 100. I'm loving it. He said, no.
No.
Come on, Victor, let's talk about it.
So, and the only reason why it's not constant joy and constant laughter is because we are still in this flesh.
Yes.
If we were in heaven, it would be constant. But we have to navigate this spiritual body in this natural environment. So with that, we have to manage ourselves, and there's different impasses. You know, sometimes I gotta take a walk, sometimes she's gotta hold her tongue. It's not all peaches and cream. But if we then individually in Christ, then he'll give us what we need to come together and build.
And you also have to understand too, Kendell, is like we were married in like mid-30s, right? So the person that we were in our mid-30s is different than the person we were in our 40s, and we're definitely different in our 50s, you know. And I always say, and I say this now, I never knew what joy was until now. I've heard of the unspeakable joy and the joy that you can't take away from me. And my husband, you know, when I get in one of my Sheila moves, he say, "Oh no, you're not going to take my joy today." You know,
Yeah.
You're not going to be a joy robber today.
You don't take my joy today. You know, and I'm like, well, what? You know, but it's like I'm happy. I was happy, but now I have joy. So no matter what happened, it's not consistent on a person. It's joy, you know.
I think about Kirk Franklin. I think about this when he talks about be happy. He was talking about happy, but you can't take my joy. Like when he talks about the difference between happiness and joy, it's so powerful because happiness is situational. But the joy that you have, happiness doesn't always resonate from the inside out.
Correct.
But that light that you have and that joy that you have, it's undeniable. Nobody would be able to dim that light. Nobody.
Yeah. And the fact is that and the fact is, you know, all the stuff that I'm taking on now and doing, you know, he lets me do it, and not that he lets me do it, but it's like he leaves me alone to do it. Do you understand? He's not when we need to do this. If I'm saying, hon, I have a podcast that I want to do. I have podcasting that I got to do. He's not bothering me, you know. He lets me do that. He allows me to be alone to do that. He's not, well, we need to spend time together because you're doing all this pod. He's not like that, you know. He gives me my space. I give him his space, you know, and I think that's important, you know, because everyone needs their space, you know. But
it is important.
Yeah, so it's just that. So I can't explain it. It's just so it's just beautiful.
No, you're explaining it.
I'm at a point where I have this joy, and he's happy. He has his joy. You know, you know, we're good. We're good.
I love it. All right, we're gonna play a game. And then we're gonna end, and we're gonna see how much alike you guys are. And and my questions are over there. But I got some right here. So we're going to go. Because you know I slid in here and did this right after the gym. All right. So, and both of you can just yell it out. Breakfast or lunch? No, breakfast or dinner?
Breakfast.
Dinner.
Well, wait. What do you wait? I'm confused. What do you mean? Like who?
We playing this or that. Just one of them. Whatever you like. This or that. Okay. Breakfast or dinner?
Dinner.
I'm breakfast.
Okay. When we comes to vacation, adventurous or relaxation?
Relaxation.
Relaxation. We old. Relaxation.
Relaxation.
You know what you talking about?
Adventure.
Adventurous.
No.
No.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. Summer or winter?
Summer.
Summer.
I love it. I love it. Movie in or movie out?
Movie in.
Shoot.
He said, shoot. That's when you know somebody's 50 and over, because that's what we say. We be like, shoot. Especially, I'm from Jersey. That's what we always shoot. You New York, shoot. All right. Oh,
Sorry.
I love it. Some people don't. Salty snack or sweet snack?
Sweet.
Sweet for him, salty for me. He's a sweet. He loves sweets. I love salty.
Mm-hmm. All right. Last question. Boop, 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 boop. Does intimacy get better after 24 years?
It gets, you know what?
For me or for her?
Honestly, I think
split that up.
I think honestly, it gets better because of the fact that we can be a little bit more freer, if that makes sense.
I thought you were going to say another F word.
You lied.
We could be a little bit more. I think we could be a little bit more freer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's. Yeah, I think that's. Yeah, I think that's. Yeah, we could be a little bit more freer. Yeah. We don't have to worry about. You know, unexpected things happening.
Right. Yeah. Right.
So we can be a little bit more free. I would like to experiment a little bit more, but especially now that I'm working out. You know what I'm saying?
Let me tell y'all, Sheila done lost almost 90 pounds naturally.
Yeah,
I told her she done lost I told her she lost a 6th grader.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
So she turned her health around. So let me ask, and that we're gonna end because I know this is way past Sheila's bedtime, and I appreciate you.
Girl. You go ahead. Yeah. I'm joking.
I know. So Eric, her weight loss, right? Her
Victor, wait, Victor, you called him Eric.
Changed. Her new hair. This is new hair. Oh, I'm sorry. Remember, I said that Victor. Eric is my daughter's boyfriend, and we were talking about him. And I told Sheila, I said, Victor. I'm sorry, Victor. So she has changed in a lot of different ways.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts about how she took her health into her own hands, and now she really is she's a different woman? What do you say about that?
I don't look. It's not that I don't see her, but I get turned on by her spiritual growth. Because you can be beautiful all you want, but if you're not at my spiritual frequency, I don't want to touch you. So
you better.
That's where it's at. So I've seen that growth in parallel to her body, but it's the spiritual that tells me yay or nay.
That's powerful.
And you remember, I used to tell him when we first started dating, that I always used to say to him, because he used to talk about he did used to talk about my looks, how I looked, and I said, you know something, hon, I could be in a car accident and anything could happen, and my looks can go. I remember you said that. Remember, I used to say that all the time. I said, people, it's not about looks, it's about this, the inside of a person, because you could be the finest the baddest, the sexiest woman on the planet. But if
Mm-hmm.
you got a messed up attitude and you don't,
That part.
yeah,
Yeah.
it does not look good.
It
You
doesn't
know, it
last.
doesn't last
It
and it
Yeah.
doesn't look
doesn't
good.
last.
So,
Yeah.
but I used to tell him that
It
all the
doesn't look
time. I said
good.
it's not
Yeah.
about looks,
Mhm.
because my husband's, I'm gonna say this because he's my husband. I think my husband's fine, but when I
Mm-hmm.
met him
Look at him.
25 years ago, he was really fine. You know what I'm saying? So he just got finer with time. But
Come on
but
now. Look at Victor.
but it's like no, but
Bless you.
again, looks do looks change and whatever
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
what I did was not for it wasn't for my husband, it was for my health. It was for my health,
Yeah.
because I wasn't comfortable with what I looked like, how I felt. I
Yeah.
didn't,
Yeah.
and that's what led me to do what I do. And now I love it. I'm trying to get my husband to come to the gym
Yeah.
with me.
I'm coming.
Yeah.
I'm coming.
I
We've
love
been
it.
saying that for weeks, for months, but you'll get there.
So people want to hear and quickly. So intimacy, because we know intimacy is a vast situation, right? It's not just one thing. Has it gotten better for you over these 24 years, Victor?
Me,
Mm-hmm.
yes. It has gotten better because of her spiritual attributes.
Yeah.
Because even during the physicality of a relationship, there's a turning point, even in the midst of those actions, that it turns spiritual. So when you go past the physical and you say, okay,
Yeah.
I touch
Yeah.
the spiritual, then it's yes. It has gotten better. I wish we could
Yeah.
be doing it more, but it has gotten better. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that with everyone.
I'm telling you, Victor.
Yeah,
Look,
Yeah.
that's Victor.
If
Victor
it,
is
if,
my
it,
boy.
if it was up to my
Victor,
husband,
I'm loving me some Victor.
if it was up to my husband, we would be intimate every day of the week. Every day of the week. But
Okay. All right. Anyway,
I
sorry.
love it because I want people. He said, "Sorry, no, I love you guys keeping it real because it's important for people to
yeah,
know that some people think that it gets stale. Some people think that if you're in your 50s, this can't happen or
no,
that can't happen. So I really
no,
wanted to say that not for people to be in your business, but to really understand and to know. Like it could
yeah.
be better at this stage in the games. So I
Honestly,
love that.
I
Last,
believe that it's better. I believe that like I said, I believe that it's better. It's just so it's I don't know. It's just you're more. I'm more comfortable with my body. He's I just think it's more. It's better.
mhm.
It's better. It's
Yeah.
definitely better.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So the last question, and for after you tell people where they can find you, Sheila, and your podcast, and what Victor has going on because he's a talented creative as well. Um, what what do you want the audience to know about marriage? And that's the final question.
I'll let her go first,
And
and then I'll
relationships
go
in
last.
general.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Just know
Okay.
that if you excuse me, just know that if you um if you trust God first of all, um if you there was something out a Sierra prayer or something, I think it was Sierra's prayer
Mhm,
where she prayed for her husband.
mhm,
That pray for the person
mhm.
that you want and be specific because God will
Mm.
answer your
Mhm.
prayers. And
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Mhm.
if you ask God for that mate and you're seeing that person that you prayed for, that's who God sent him to you. I found
Yeah.
my husband and in 3-4 months, God sent him to me. And from that point, we've never, except for that couple of months we were separated, we've been together all that time, right?
Yeah.
And if you pray for it, believe that he's going to send it to you, and then receive it, receive him, and continually pray over your husband, because you it's a learning curve. Pray to be a good wife. If that's what you want, pray to be a wife, because that was one of the things I had to do. I wanted a husband, but I had to pray to I had to learn how to be a wife. I had to learn how to give up some of
Yeah.
myself and some of my space to be with another, to share with another
That's real.
person. So just be
That's
willing to
good,
do
Sheila.
that, and know that it takes work. And Michelle Obama said something, that if you're married 30 years, and maybe out of that
Mhm.
25-30 years, you may have maybe 8 years or so where it's not such a they're not great years, but work through those 8 or so years, because you have 30. Why would you have
Yeah.
8 years that are not going where you want it to go, or you're not, work at it. Don't just give up so easily, unless you're in a relationship where you're being abused, or
Hmm.
but if you pray for that, God's not going to send you someone that's going to hurt you like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. That's good
That's
advice,
what
Sheila. That's
Yeah.
good. I agree. I agree 100%. I approve that message. Whew.
Thank
Victor,
you.
Yes, I would
that was good.
say to, I would say, um, before you get married, make sure that you sever soul ties.
How do you do that?
Mm.
Explain how you do that.
Uh, Any relationship, past relationship that you're in, make sure you have closure. Ask God to sever that soul tie. Because if you get into a
Mm.
marriage and say you had 6 partners,
Mm.
even on your honeymoon, it's going to be you, your wife,
And those
and those six
six
partners.
partners.
So you got to sever those soul
In your
ties.
twin bed.
Yeah, yeah, just laying there, you know. So you got to sever. Right.
Hey,
Oh
move
Lord.
over.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You got to get rid of those.
No, but that's real.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I would say that. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
real. That's good. Y'all,
yeah.
I thank you so much. This was
Okay.
so beautiful. This is a way to
Thank you.
end a season on relationships. And I've been telling Sheila all season, I was like, I gotta get you on. And
Yeah.
she was like, Victor's getting on too. I was so happy. I was so happy about this because it's only right to have both
Yeah.
Mhm,
of you
mhm.
on. I'm just so happy and I'm just so grateful that I'm gonna say it again, stayed up late and taking the time, Victor, to be
Thank you. Yeah.
to be a part of this
Sure.
podcast, sitting next to your lovely bride.
Mhm.
And
Thank you.
both of you are a perfect pair. Doesn't mean that you're perfect people, but a
Mhm,
perfect
Right.
pair. And
mhm,
the way that you guys have exalted God today
mhm.
is fantastic, because we
Yeah.
talk about God over here on this
Hmm.
podcast, this
Yeah.
channel. And my goal with every show is to mention God at least one time. And
Hmm.
I don't
Mhm,
even know how many times he was exalted in this. And everything kept going back to God. That's the creator, that's the center. So what you all said about marriage, I thank you for sharing intimate parts of your relationship and what you've gone through. I don't take that lightly. I hold it in high regard because God has saved you both and saved and
Hmm.
restored and rebuilt your marriage, which is super fantastic.
mhm.
Hmm.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Right. Sheila, quickly tell everybody about your podcast. Victor, I heard there's some writing going on. Just talk about that, and we're really going to end this time. It's the season finale, so we took it over, and it's my podcast, so I can go if I want to.
That's right.
Go
That's
ahead.
right.
Tell them
Well,
about.
I have my podcast, which is Sheila's Take, and it's new episodes every Wednesday. Almost ending my season 3 and starting my season 4. You can find me on Instagram at Sheila's underscore take, or I have another one at Stuni STUNIE1. That's on Instagram. I'm also on Facebook. But definitely check out my podcast. It's audio, it's on YouTube, it's on Amazon, Google, Apple, every streaming platform you could imagine. So definitely check it out.
Yeah.
And my husband,
Yes.
All right, Victor, what you got going on? I know you're a creative one. I'm hearing all about you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm pregnant with the vision. I'm pregnant with the vision right now. And in birth, you need at least 1 to 9 months. I want to say the first trimester. You will be hearing, I will give you that God, the name of it is Speak for Me. That's the name of my vision. But it's in the early planning stages now. But I'll make sure that you'll be the first to know.
and your Instagram, babe.
I don't have an Instagram yet.
You do, yeah. He's Agape Streams.
Yeah, man.
Well, we're gonna have y'all back on, and Sheila and I got a lot of things cooking too that you'll see. And again, she is a part of the book, and I'm so pleased. So everybody go to Amazon.com. I need to. Can somebody bring me the book?
Yeah, show it. Yeah.
Can somebody bring me the book in my room? I hear them saying, "You gonna grab it? Who's gonna grab it?" Hey, this is live. I slid through. But I'm so pleased that Sheila is now officially an author. And
yes.
Being a part of this book, she is an author, and that's the first step.
And I'm working on another one. Actually 2, but one hopefully will be out before the end of the year.
Thank you. All right. So this is the book right here. If I can turn it around. Okay. What I've learned about and from my mother through my personal journey as her child, celebrating motherhood and those who raised us, a book of love, lessons, and leadership. So Sheila's story about her mom is right here. This is a beautiful gift. It's not just for Mother's Day. I always say get one and gift one. It's very inspiring. It'll make you chuckle. There's quotes and sayings and memories and stories in here. So make sure you get your copy. Amazon.com. You can get it in 2 days. I didn't tell Sheila this. The official update is going to be the final version to make sure everything, because you guys know when you do books, sometimes you'll see little things that need to be tweaked. So that was done today. And so that will be up next week, but still get the book now. It's beautiful. You'll be able to read through it, and I'm grateful that you were a part of this. Thank you.
And I thank you. And I just want to say too, I'm still, I believe in, like my husband likes to do, I'm gifting people the book. So if you're not able to purchase it, just reach out to me at on my DM me on my Instagram, Stuni 1 STUNIE1, and I will gift you a copy and I'll sign it for you.
But you can leave a donation. You can leave a donation. No.
And
yeah, that's okay.
Okay, baby.
Donation. Right. And because she's officially an author, she's in here. Her picture is in the back of the book. And I'm just so grateful that you are a part of it. But thank you so much.
Thank
Time
you.
is a commodity that we cannot get back. So I thank you guys for taking the
Thank
time to
you.
be with me, and everybody watching and listening. I thank you for taking the time, your valuable time, to listen and to watch this podcast. This is Shine with
Thank
Kendell
you.
Lenice. This is the Life Podcast. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome. Thank you for
Thank
having us.
you.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, I'm glad we were able to shine this podcast, this episode on relationships, love and marriage, standing the test of time. My guest today stood the test of time. You heard their story and some of the things that they've been through. Of course, they can't share their whole life with you in this time, but know that they have been through some things and they're still together, still smiling and laughing, and you can see the
Yes.
joy through them. So if you want to get through it, if you have God, you can get through anything. You have to
That's
call on
right.
God when things get tough, because he's always going to pull you out. And if he told you that's your person, then you know that you have to fix it with your person. And they did just that, and they came out stronger and better than ever. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, you are a star. Don't allow anyone to dim your shine. Till next time, God bless you. Peace. Thank you, everybody. Thank
Welcome.
you.
Thank
Don't
you.
forget to subscribe to the podcast and the YouTube channel. God bless y'all.
God bless you.